summer's day, a farmer boy became our chief in a homely, simple way. With neither pomp nor pageantry, he firmly met the task. To keep him on this job of his is all the people ask. So keep cool and keep Coolidge is the slogan of today. Keep cool and keep Coolidge for the good old USA. A lot of politicians cannot do a thing but knock, but Calvin Coolidge is a man of notion and not talk. So keep cool and keep Coolidge in the White House 4 years more. We have a chance to do it in the year of 24. He's been tried, he's never wanting, he is giving of his best. Keep cool and keep Coolidge is our country's mighty test.
John Calvin Coolidge was born on July 4th, 1872, in Plymouth Notch, Vermont, where his father ran a general store and family farm. An idyllic rural childhood was marred by the death of his mother and sister, events that brought him exceptionally close to his father. He graduated from Black River Academy in 1890, studied for the college entrance exam at St. Johnsbury Academy, and in 1891 entered Amherst College in Massachusetts. Coolidge graduated from Amherst College in 1895, having excelled in writing and public speaking. After college, Coolidge moved across the Connecticut River to Northampton to pursue a legal career, first as a law clerk for John Hammond and Henry Field, and then as a lawyer after being admitted to the bar in 1897. He was also encouraged to enter the local political scene. He enjoyed a reputation for honesty and high moral character, immersed himself in the Republican Party, and served Northampton as a ward councilman and city solicitor. During the same time period, Coolidge met Grace Anna Goodhue, a teacher at Northampton's Clark School for the Deaf. After a brief courtship, they married at her parents' home in Burlington, Vermont, on October 4th, 1905. Weeks after the wedding, Coolidge lost a bid for a seat on the Northampton School Committee. Several neighbors who voted against him said it was because Calvin had no children in the school system. His dry-witted reply was, "You might have given me a little time." He proved prophetic, as his first son John was born in 1906, followed by Calvin Jr. in 1908. Coolidge was elected to the Massachusetts Legislature's lower house in 1906 and was re-elected in 1907. He left to serve 2 terms as mayor of Northampton in 1910 and 1911, after which he was elected 4 times to the state senate. He gained admirers across the political spectrum, and his peers elevated him to president of the Senate in 1913 and 1914. He brought to the Senate several consistent political traits: fiscal restraint, devotion to legal principles, and a sense of fair-mindedness. In January 1914, Coolidge delivered a speech titled "Have Faith in Massachusetts," in which he expressed a blend of progressive and conservative philosophy. Don't hesitate to be as revolutionary as science. Don't hesitate to be as reactionary as the multiplication table. The speech caught the attention of Republican Party officials, who bandied about his name for higher office. Coolidge became lieutenant governor in 1915 and was twice re-elected to that post. On November 5, 1918, he won a close contest to become governor of Massachusetts. He was initially viewed as a progressive governor, but his reputation would evolve quickly. On September 9, 1919, Boston police went on strike for higher pay. better working conditions, and recognition of their union. Coolidge agreed the police officers had legitimate grievances, but when riots and looting broke out in Boston, he called out the state guard and allowed the police commissioner to fire strikers. He helped several secure other jobs, but refused to allow them to serve again as police officers. When labor leader Samuel Gompers tried to convince Coolidge to reconsider, Coolidge replied with a terse telegram. There is no right to strike against the public safety by anybody, anywhere, anytime. Those 15 words resonated among many Americans who, in a year of widespread labor unrest, feared a breakdown of public order. Coolidge was transformed into a national figure. 7 months after he won his 1919 gubernatorial re-election in a landslide, Coolidge was nominated to be the vice presidential candidate on a Republican ticket headed by Senator Warren G. Harding. On November 2, 1920, the Harding-Coolidge ticket swamped the Democrats by a nearly 2-to-1 margin. As vice president, Coolidge avoided the Capitol's social whirl. His aloof, low profile cemented his reputation as Silent Cal. In reality, he was an introvert with a dry wit that escaped most Washington socialites. On August 2, 1923, President Harding suddenly died. Coolidge was in Vermont visiting his father, and by the light of a kerosene lamp at 2:47 a.m., John Coolidge exercised his role as a notary public to administer to his son the presidential oath of office. President Coolidge maintained his customary calm and relish for fiscal stewardship. He balanced the budget in 1923, as he would every year he was president.
The country needs every ounce of its energy to restore itself. The costs of government are all assessed upon the people. This means that the farmer is doomed to provide a certain amount of money out of the sale of his produce, no matter how low the price, to pay his taxes. The manufacturer, the professional man, the clerk must do the same from their income. The wage earner, often at a higher rate when compared with his earning, makes his contribution perhaps not directly, but indirectly in the advanced cost of everything he buys. The expenses of the government reach everybody. Taxes take from everyone a part of his earnings and force everyone to work for a certain part of his time for the government. When we come to realize that the yearly expenses of the governments of this country, the stupendous sum of about $7.5 billion, we get some $100 million is needed by the national government and the remainder by local governments. Such a sum is difficult to comprehend. It represents all the pay of 5 million wage earners receiving $5 a day, working 300 days in the year. One of the greatest favors that can be bestowed upon the American people is economy in government.
He removed staff from their positions in the wake of the Harding administration's Teapot Dome scandal involving bribery associated with petroleum leases. Coolidge demanded the resignation of Attorney General Harry Daugherty. Secretary of the Interior Albert Fall became the first cabinet officer to be jailed for corruption. 10 months into his presidency, the Republican Party chose Coolidge to be their 1924 candidate. Tragedy struck shortly thereafter. On July 7, 1924, Calvin Jr. died of blood poisoning. When he went, the power and the glory of the presidency went with him. Coolidge would later write in his autobiography. In November, though, Coolidge won 54% of the votes in a three-way race. His presidency thrilled conservatives, though Coolidge's actions were sometimes a nuanced, even uncomfortable mix of progressivism and conservatism. One of his more controversial actions was signing into law the Immigration Act of 1924, which set quotas that deeply curtailed immigration from Southern and Eastern Europe and renewed the exclusion of most of Asia. In contrast, Coolidge defended the right of African Americans to run for elected office and steered federal money to the historic black college, Howard University. He called for a federal anti-lynching law, but was unable to get Congress to act on it. Coolidge did get support for and signed the 1924 Indian Citizenship Act, which granted full citizenship to all indigenous peoples living on reservations. On August 2, 1927, he shocked the press with a succinct statement declining another term. "I do not choose to run." He retired from 30 years as a public servant and returned home to Northampton. On January 5, 1933, Americans learned that 60-year-old Calvin Coolidge died at the Beaches, his home in Northampton, Massachusetts. He lived there fewer than 3 years, and it was the only house he ever owned. Dignitaries, including outgoing President Herbert Hoover and incoming First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, poured into town for his funeral at Edwards Church on Northampton's Main Street. It was quite a send-off for one of the most unassuming men ever to occupy the White House. Grace Coolidge remained in Northampton and was active in charity and community service until her death in 1957. Coolidge's legacy is both celebrated and criticized. He left behind actions that today continue to be debated, challenged, and revered.